So the title of this talk is called Relativists Abandon Sinking Ship. Valev has been telling relativists to abandon sinking ship for a long time now, and now New Scientist says abandon sinking ship. And I'll quote what he says, Valev: "Nowadays all theorists know that the speed of light is variable as per Newton. Many of them silently leave Einstein's sinking ship and promptly become experts elsewhere." And we have a picture here, so say, of the relativists abandon the sinking ship, represented as cartoon. The claim that the speed of light is variable, well, unfortunately many relativists wouldn't agree with that, but the speed of light is variable in Newton theory. So on to the New Scientist, and it tells them to abandon a sinking ship, and it says, "Our best model of the cosmos, a seemingly serenely sailing ship, might be hauled beneath the waterline. That has led some researchers to suggest taking the ultimate step, abandoning that ship and building a new standard model from the ground up based on a revised understanding of gravity." And if you're talking about a revised understanding of gravity, then you're talking about revising Einstein's general relativity. So Valev saying they should abandon the sinking ship, and now New Scientists are saying that maybe they should abandon the sinking ship. Now Pencho, he's upset many relativists, that is, believers in Einstein's relativity, on the internet by criticising relativity. Anyway, looking now at what New Scientist says, and it's a recent article on the 28th of November. It's written by Stuart Clark, a PhD in astrophysics. That's a picture of him there. Title is "The Universe is Expanding Too Fast and That Could Rewrite Cosmology." It goes on to say, "Different measurements of the Hubble constant, the rate of space-time expansion, refuse to agree, meaning that we may have to look beyond Einstein's theories to explain the universe." And it then continues, "At first it was a whisper, now it becomes a shout. There is something seriously wrong with our understanding of the cosmos. When we measure the rate at which the universe is expanding, we get different results depending on whether we extrapolate from the early universe or look at exploding stars in nearby galaxies. The discrepancy means that everything is speeding apart more quickly than we expect. The problem originally surfaced a few years ago, and the hope was that it would fade away with more precise observations. In fact, the latest measurements have made it impossible to ignore. It's starting to get really serious," says one person, "and people must have already screwed up for this not to be real in some sense. Cosmologists have been scrambling for answers. They have played around with the properties of dark energy and dark matter, these two well-known yet still mysterious components of our standard model of cosmology. They have imagined all manner of new exotic ingredients, all to no avail." Then gets to, "The conclusion could hardly be starker. Our best model of the cosmos, a seemingly serene sailing ship, might be hauled beneath the waterline. That has led some researchers to suggest taking the ultimate step, abandoning that ship and building a new standard model from the ground up based on a revised understanding of gravity. It is hardly the first such attempt. Now, however, it comes with a twist, almost literally, by putting a quantum spin on Einstein's theories of space and time. We might finally make sense over accelerating expansion of everything. So the problem with Einstein's general relativity is it's not really combined with quantum mechanics, and so they're trying to get a way of combining it with quantum physics, hence talking of a quantum spin. It goes on to give a lot of explanation, but getting to the conclusion about what it's saying up to this point. There is something fundamental we don't understand about the universe. So not very good there. There's something wrong with their theory and model. After considering attempts to fix the problem, the article says, so where to go from here? Adding new ingredients doesn't work. Tweaking existing ones has failed, and rethinking our assumptions delivers no answers. For these two people, that leaves only one option, even if many of their colleagues have yet to accept it. In a few years' time, cosmologists will need to get rid of the lambda CDM model, and that means the cold dark matter model CDM with the cosmological constant called lambda, and they will need to replace it with a better model, says Boljaco. That involves going back to basics and reconsidering the theory that governs the relationship between the universe and its components. It is a nuclear option because general relativity has yet to flunk a single direct observational test, but here we are. The solution the article proposes come from Boljaco has taken a different approach. He has revived the work of Cartan, a French mathematician who in the first half of the 20th century proposed an extension to general relativity called torsion. In Einstein's formulation, mass is the only property of matter that warps space-time. It should be really mass energy. Effectively, Cartan proposes that space-time could also be affected by quantum mechanical property of spin in the matter that makes up celestial objects. Torsion is appealing because it's one of the simplest ways to extend general relativity, says this person at the Aristotle University in Greece. Rather than adding something ad hoc, you're incorporating a physical property known to exist in matter. In the process, you are adding a new field to the universe, the properties of which are governed by several parameters that are still to be constrained. So this is a picture of Cartan. He was an influential French mathematician who did fundamental work in Lie groups, differential systems, coordinate-free geometric formulations of partial differential equations and so forth. He also made significant contributions to general relativity and indirectly to quantum mechanics. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest mathematicians of the 20th century. So this is the person proposing adding Cartan's work to general Einstein's relativity, when New Scientist says the following thing, that Boljaco has taken a different approach. He has revived the work of Cartan, a French mathematician. Now there's a Dr. Myron Evans who dealt with torsion physics and tied it to Einstein, and Cartan as well. And he called it ECE theory, and as per Wikipedia it says about it, Einstein-Cartan-Evans theory, or ECE theory, was an attempted unified theory of physics proposed by the Welsh chemist and physicist Myron Evans, who's now sadly passed away. And he claimed it unified general relativity, quantum mechanics and electromagnetism. Now, with Einstein's relativity, he did have a few complaints about it. So his theory, the ECE theory, seemed to run into problems with maths, so there were several people disagree with him about the maths. So the maths probably needs sorting out, or at least trying to get more people to agree with it. But as I've pointed out in previous videos, physicists seem to make a lot of bodges in the maths when dealing with relativity. So going to a Torson's theory will probably be more bodging by them. Anyway, those who get involved in ECE theory have a lot of weird claims about anti-gravity, paranormal and so forth, and that's on the internet. Most people seem to be conditioned to then ignore a subject when things like that are mentioned, and so that is where ECE theory ends up. Most people are conditioned to ignore it, and it's like Pavlov's dogs, which I'm going to explain now. So Pavlov's experiment, he conditioned dogs to respond in certain ways to certain signals. In the first picture above, the dog is salivating because he sees food, i.e. a bone. And in this next picture, the dog shows no response when a bell is rung. And in the next picture below that, the bell is rung and a bone is presented to him, and the dog is salivating. And the dog starts to associate the ringing of the bell with getting a bone. So in the last picture you show what happens. You just ring the bell and the dog salivates because he's expecting a bone. So the dog has been conditioned to respond to the bell. Humans are conditioned as well, but generally the condition is done with words. So the condition probably with words like paranormal, anti-gravity and so forth, and then they switch off, become closed-minded as they have been trained to be. So that's what's happened to the ECE theory. Thank you. The end.